Shalom, shalom, everybody. Let's bring it down because we got to get started.
I am. Yeah, I'm ready. Where did it go? Hey, Zakane, I'm ready whenever y'all. Okay, yeah, all praises. I'm just making sure I ain't know what y'all's, if y'all's.
No, we could.
Okay, all praises. Let me know when we live.
Oh, we've been live.
Okay, all praises. Well, how y'all doing?
Cold.
Hey, it's good to see y'all. Y'all know how I feel. It's been a long week for me, so yeah. Anytime I'm able to come in here, it's a blessing. Yeah, we'll get started. We'll pick up where we left off. Um, Still in Genesis, first six chapters technically is this partial, but we're gonna pick up at chapter 3. All right, so my disclaimer. The scriptures expressed in this study are those of the author and not my own. Viewer discretion is advised. So guidelines for the lesson, we want to let all things be done with decency and order. So this will help us better serve one another. These lessons are intended to be interactive. All right, so they are intended to be interactive. But with that being said, please ask all questions, make all statements in the microphone so that everybody can hear you. These are like we live on YouTube right now as we speak. All right, so if you say something that is not in a microphone, the people online, they're gonna be lost. They're not gonna know what y'all saying. All right, so like I said, please ask all questions, make all statements in a microphone so that everybody can hear you. We want to be mindful of the time, so please limit responses to roughly 60 seconds or less. This will help give others an opportunity to ask questions and give input. We want to stay on topic, so if you have questions that do not pertain to the topic of the lesson, please hold those until after the study. This will help us better serve your question and give it the proper attention it deserves. And if we move on from a point and you don't get a chance to ask your question or make your statement, if by the end of the study it still hasn't been addressed, please hold this until the end of the study and we can revisit it. All right, so Hebrews chapter 4, starting at verse 11. Let us therefore do our utmost to enter into that rest, lest anyone fall after the same example of disobedience. For the word of Elohim is living and working and sharper than any two-edged sword, cutting through even to the dividing of being and spirit and of joints and marrow, and able to judge the thoughts and the intentions of the heart. And there is no creature hidden from his sight, but all are naked and laid bare before the eyes of him with whom is our account. All right, so these lessons are not directed at any one person or group, but are intended to be edifying and useful to all who have joined themselves to the covenant of Yahuwah. So the Father is impartial and none can avoid him, even the person who is tasked with presenting the lesson, which is me, myself. All right, so we are all held to this standard, and none of us are above his ways or corrections and reproofs. Romans 2:1. Therefore, O man, you are without excuse, everyone who judges, for in which you judge another, you condemn yourself, since you who judge practice the same wrongs. And we know that the judgment of Elohim is according to truth against those who practice such wrongs. And do you think, O man, you who judge those practicing such wrongs and doing the same, that you shall accept the judgment of Elohim? And obviously, we know it's a rhetorical, right? No getting around that. So, with all that being said, we're going to pick up where we left off. So I'm going to throw this out here, and I want y'all to pay attention to this for the rest of the lesson, all right? Genesis 2:24, it says, therefore shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh, and they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. All right, so the word for naked there is H6174, arom, that is to be naked or to be bare. All right, so like I said, as we go through this lesson, just keep that in mind, right? That in verse 25, they was naked, they was bare, but they no reason to have shame, right? And we're going to dig into this and why this is important as we continue through it, all right? So, like I said, remember this word because it will be important as we continue through the story. All right, so Bereshiyt, Genesis 3:1. All right, so it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which Yahuwah Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, yeah, have Elohim said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? Now let me ask y'all, what did Elohim say? Mic check, mic check.
Well, I think it states it right here in verse 3. It says, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Okay, all praises. So now, I'm going to ask y'all one more time. What did Elohim say? Can we get a microphone? All praises. So I'm getting into the weeds of details here, but it's a reason why I am.
Elohim said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Okay. So I'm going to ask, is that really what Elohim said? Okay, so now y'all see why I'm asking, well, what did Elohim say? Because the way that it got kicked back out is not how he said it.
He said that Yahuwah said that he told Adam, not Eve. He told Adam that he is not to eat of the fruit for the day of the day that he eats of that fruit, he would surely die.
Okay, so did it say it didn't say anything about touching it, right?
No.
Okay, so just again keep that in mind that even the way that it got kicked back out is not exactly how it was given. All right. And then we know what adding to or taking away is a dangerous thing, right? We not to add to his Torah or take away from his Torah. And sometimes we can add to it or we can take away from it, and we think that it's an insignificant thing. Like we think it's not that serious, right? But it really can be that serious. The outcome of it can really be that serious if we don't stick to actually what he said, right? So now imagine, I'm just going to throw this out there. We got children. If I tell my child, hey, don't touch this because if you touch this, you're going to die. Then he disobeys and he runs up and he touches it and he don't die. Then what? So now the fear that you might have for it, right? He told him, hey, if you eat from it, you're going to die. She added this, if you touch it and if you eat of it, you're going to die, right? So now if you touch it and you don't die, then you might be like, oh, well, maybe the other part ain't true either, right? Now whatever it was that he told me I should be afraid of with this fruit, maybe it's not as real as what he's saying it is, right? Go ahead, Zakane.
It just reminds me of what I heard a preacher say one time. You give a woman something, and what she does, she multiplies it. You know, he says you give her food, she makes a meal. You give her a house, she makes a home. You give her a word, she makes it her own.
Hey, listen, Zakane. Now, we just got started. We just not getting started. Don't start none, won't be none. All right? We got a whole lesson to get through. All praises. All right, so just again, keep all of this in mind as we going through this scenario, okay? So verse 1, I'm going to read it again. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which Yahuwah Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, yeah, have Elohim said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the trees of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest ye die. All right, so I want us to see something very important here. Notice how the serpent operates. He did not force his will upon the woman. So all of that, the devil made me do it. We can throw that. We can throw that out, right? He didn't force his will upon the woman. Instead, he plants a seed of doubt in her that will cause her to question if Yahuwah has her best interest at heart. So in this process, what is in our heart is made known, okay? His goal is to appeal to a desire that exists in you that is not in unity with the Father's will. That's all the enemy is trying to do, right? So James 1:12, it says, blessed is the man that endures temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life. Now, what was that other tree that was in the midst of the garden? You had the knowledge of good and evil, and then you had another one that was a tree of life, right? When he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which Elohim has promised to them that do what? That love him. Now, remember last time I was up here, what was the one thing that they did not understand? They didn't understand that Elohim loved them. The reason why he's giving them a command is because he loves them. And then we know that it reciprocates, right? If we love him, what do? We keep the commands, right? So you see, he gave the command because he loves us. And then we keep the command because we love him. So this is a whole cycle. All right. So it says, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of Yah, for Yahuwah cannot be tempted with evil. Neither tempts he any man, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust or his own desires and enticed. Then when the lust or the desire has conceived, it brings forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, brings forth death. Do not err, my beloved brethren. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and comes down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. Of his own will he begat us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. All right, so he gave us this word so that we can be a what? A first fruit of his creatures. Is the first fruit the best part or the worst part? It's the best part, right? So he literally is giving us the word so that we can be the best thing that we can be, and us being the best thing that we can be is that's what he wants, right? So notice the relationship between the field and the garden, all right? Remember, the garden was planted and the man was placed in it. The man was to guard and keep this garden. We talked about that last time. The field, however, is where this serpent has come from, all right? So you got this garden, and everything is the way it's supposed to be within this garden, right? But then you got the field. What happens in the field? Is the field where all your good fruits, vegetables, and all of that stuff is? Or is that where, it's the wild, right? Okay, all praises. So Genesis 3:1, it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahuwah Elohim had made. All right, so the word for field there, Sadeh, H7704. It's from an unused root meaning to spread out. A field as flat country, a field is the ground, it's the land, it's the soil, it's the wild. All right. Brown Jarvis Briggs' definition is it's the field, it's the land, it's cultivated field. But what I want us to pay attention to is 1B. It's a home of wild beasts, right? This is a undomesticated place, okay? Here's my question. What can we learn about the field? Y'all don't know the words of Mashiach? All right, Matthew 13:24. We're going to go there, okay? And I want y'all to keep this in mind because it's trying to tell us something about what's going on in Genesis 3, all right? So Matthew 13:24. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of Yahuwah is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the house of the master came and said unto him, Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? From whence then has it tares? And he said unto them, an enemy has done this. The servants said to him, Will you then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while you gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather you together first the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. So we're going to jump to verse 36 and he's going to explain it. So it says, Then Yahushua sent the multitude away and went into the house, and his disciples or his Talmudim came unto him, saying, Declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said unto them, He that sows good seed is the son of Adam. But the field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. All right, so notice how this pattern works from person to person. This process takes place within the person, and the fruit of that each person brings forth is what shows whether they are the seed of the kingdom or the seed of the wicked one. So the world represents a dwelling place where the wild and ungoverned reside, right? The field is the world. Now, we know that we in the quote-unquote world, but we ain't supposed to be of the world, right? But keep in mind that this serpent is the most subtle beast of this field, all right? So when we look at this from the garden story perspective, could it be possible that the serpent is trying to sow a bad seed in Adam and Kua, or Adam and Eve? Right? Now, we know in Matthew 13, he said that the seed is the what? Seed is the word, right? And you got everybody who, you a type of ground, I'm a type of ground, you a type of ground, you a type of ground. And what was that? Moriah Hoshea, last week, he brought this up, right? There's only 4 different types of ground. You got one that is by the wayside, right? It didn't even penetrate. The seed didn't even penetrate. Then you got thorns and thistles. You got stony, and then you got good, right? And only one of those is bringing forth fruit in abundance, right? Adam was made from what? He is made from the Adamah. Remember we went over that. He's made from the dust of the earth. So is it possible that the way he's designed to be able, for us to be able to see, he made from the dirt, and dirt is supposed to have a seed planted in it. Which seed, which word is going to be planted in you? And you're going to be able to judge the seed by what? By the fruit. That's how you know what tree it is. A good tree is going to bring forth what? And a bad tree going to bring forth what? All praises. So it's real simple so far, right? All praises. So both seeds will bring forth different kinds of fruit. Each seed was planted by different sowers with different motives and expectations. One intends to get a tobe or a good harvest, while the other's objective is to corrupt the good field that was planted. So these 2 seeds lie dormant in the ground until the time comes for them to bring forth fruit. And once these 2 seeds meet a certain point of maturity, they bear fruit. So this fruit is what determines whether or not they will be harvested for the master's pleasure or thrown into the fire because of their own pleasures, right? So y'all with me so far, right? All praises. So now, back to Genesis 3:1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahuwah Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, yeah, as Elohim said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden. Now, we know what Elohim said. He knows what Elohim said, but his goal is to do what? Plant a seed of doubt. He's just trying to sow a seed of doubt so that that seed of doubt can then do what? Bring forth some kind of fruit, right? All praises. So, a serpent, H5175, Nakash. All right, it's a snake. From its hiss, it's a serpent. Now, we know the way that Hebrew works, it works with nouns, but the nouns are formed from verbs, right? It's an action language, okay? So a snake is a noun, but what is the action, right? Or why they call a snake a snake? They call it that, they said, from its hiss, right? So H5172, this is the root, the verbal root, nakash. A primitive root, properly to hiss, that is a whisperer. To whisper a magic spell, generally to prognosticate, which means to foretell or prophesy of a future event. To divine, to be an enchanter. To learn by experience. Some might say learning by experience, that's a good thing, right? Not all the time, right? When you done had to learn by experience, you say a little bit different, right? Like, man, it'd have been better off if I would have listened and didn't have to go through that. Right? Now, I mean, if experience is the only way that you can get it, well, get it how you live it. But if you can learn it without having to go through it, it's much better that way. Trust me. Trust me. The school of the hard knocks is not where it's at. And I got a master's degree there. Like, I'm trying to tell you, that is not the curriculum you want to follow. Hey, I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it. And then it's to diligently observe. All right. So now keep in mind that this is what this serpent is. This all explains how this serpent moves. Right. It's a whisperer. It's a enchanter. Right. Just keep all that in mind. And part of it wants you to, quote unquote, learn by experience, right? Ain't nothing worse than when you have somebody old and gray and they give you bad advice. And the advice that they give you is, well, try it out. I wouldn't do that if you, it's like, man, like what? I'm coming to you because you're supposed to have experience and you're supposed to have wisdom to tell me what to do and what not to do. So that's in Hebrew, it's a nakash, right? Now these things right here, I'm just wondering, I'm gonna throw this out there if there's a connection. Okay, has anybody ever heard of the Nagas? No. Okay, so the Nagas in mythology refers to mythical beings in South and Southeast Asian traditions, often depicted as divine or semi-divine, half human, half serpent creatures with powers like shape-shifting and control over water and treasures. So they are revered in Hinduism and Buddhism as guardians of lakes, rivers, and hidden treasures, and are known to be protectors of nature. Their nature is often dual. Now, that was a tree that was both what? It was good and evil. That sounds like a dual nature to me, right? Okay. As they can be benevolent bestowers of wealth and wisdom. Matthew chapter 4. What was Hashatan trying to offer to Mashiach? Okay. Okay. All praises. Or they can be fierce beings who cause calamities if insulted or disrespected. All right. So now this is just in their culture. This is what they believe about these snake things, these snake entities called Nagas. And now in Hebrew, the serpent is called the Nakash. I just wonder if there's a connection there. All right, so Nagas appear in various forms, most commonly as a human from the waist up, with a serpent's lower body, as human-like figures with snake heads, or as full serpents. They are sometimes depicted with multiple snake heads. So their habitat, they reside in the netherworld called Patala, in underwater places filled with treasures and secret what? Secret knowledge. It's starting to sound a whole lot like it might be a connection. They are also found at points where their realm intersects with the human world, such as springs and rivers. Powers and abilities, shape-shifting. They are skilled shapeshifters able to take human or part human form. They are powerful in magic. What was an enchanter and all of, okay. Including control over water, weather, and the earth. Guardians, they are guardians of the earth's resources like gems, metals, and minerals. All right, so now I'm not saying this is exactly the same thing, but what I am saying is that it's perhaps maybe a common root between these two beliefs, which shows me that that same serpent been busy, because they ain't got nothing to do with Israel or nothing like that, but yet they done heard of this. They done heard of this guy. They ain't heard of Yahuwah, but they done heard of him. So just something to keep in mind. All praises. We'll tap into that, y'all willing, when we start getting to the flood. All praises. So Genesis 2:9. I'm gonna go back for a second. And out of the ground, Yahuwah made. Out of the ground made Yahuwah Elohim to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And Yahuwah Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat of it, for in the day that you eat thereof you shall surely die. So there it is, straight out of the proverbial horse's mouth, right? He didn't say anything about touching it, right? So Proverbs 3:1. You know what? Before we go there, I'm going to point this out. So notice how one of the goals with the serpent is to get you to lean on your own understanding and to lean on what you have learned through experience, right? One of the things that we saw with the serpent is what? To learn by experience, right? We already talked about how that can be a bad thing, right? So now there is a told way to learn, or a good way to learn from your experience, but there's also an evil way to learn from experience, right? So when you only have your experience to lean on without wisdom, there's a chance that your understanding of a situation may be skewed or one-sided. So when this occurs, there's an opportunity for deception. So consider the weight of this question that was asked in the garden and what their experience had been in the garden up to that point. Go ahead, Doc.
So, a couple of weeks ago, when before we went down to Cincinnati, we had talked about how Adam was to be a keeper of the garden, and being a keeper of the garden, he's observing everything. He's watching. Mm-hmm. The Father created the animals first for Adam to observe and to watch and to learn from these things, and this is how he was able to name them. Mm-hmm. Also, watching Eve and able to look at her and be able to call her, right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is it possible that this same serpent who's there is doing the same thing, who's watching and observing? How is he weak? How is she weak? Who do I go to first? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, this is what I'm taking out of it or whatnot. I wanted to kind of, but I can wait till later on. I wanted to go back because I'm seeing some parallels of, you brought up the world being outside of the garden and the wilderness, and the first thing I thought about was the wilderness of Sinai. Mm-hmm. And also you see in Ezekiel how the Most High is going to gather his people from the four corners of the world, bring them into the wilderness, but there's going to be a separation there. But I ain't going to go no further in there, but because you don't move past it now, but I talk about it later though. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that out because if he's watching, then the serpent obviously had to been watching too.
All praises, like absolutely. Like remember, this is the most subtle beast of the field. So like, it's been watching and it knows everything about this whole situation. That's the reason why it's presenting it the way that it is. So yeah, all praises.
I was just going to land back off of what he was saying, but you kind of brought it out that if you ever observe a serpent just lays still most of the time. It's an ambush predator, and what it does, it observes, it pays attention to everything that's around it and everything that's coming across it, and waits to the exact time in order to strike or to attack. And this is what the enemy has done here. He sat back, just like you was explaining. He sat back in the field and he paid attention to everything that was going on. And he looked and he saw that where the word was not given to her, but through directly from the Most High, but through her Ish, that she like, oh, okay, so it didn't come directly from the Most High, so she might be a better target for me to be able to attack.
All praises. All praises. So when you only have your experience to lean on without wisdom, there's a chance that your understanding of a situation might be skewed or one-sided. When this occurs, there is an opportunity for deception. So consider the weight of this question that was asked in the garden and what their experience had been in the garden up to that point. Only leaning on their previous experiences with the other trees in the garden is going to cause them to err in their judgment. None of the other trees brought death. So why would I think this one is any different? Especially if I have a reason to doubt it now. All of the other trees were good for food, but this tree was different. There was no way to understand this tree in light of the other trees in the garden. So their experience don't help them here, right? This tree existed in a different context, and the only way for them to understand it was from the vantage point of Elohim. They could not understand it outside of the commandment that was given. The only way that they could operate and function with this tree was in the safety of the commandment. This is the way that all of his commandments work, right? You step outside of them and it's like, hey, you're on your own. Whatever happens. Whatever wind and waves come and beat up on you, hey, figure it out. So that's just how it works, right? All praises. Proverbs 3:1, it says, my son, forget not my law or my Torah, but let your heart guard my commandments. For what? For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to you. What was that other tree in the garden? It was a tree of life, so that they might have what? Length of days, long, all of these same things. Let not mercy and truth forsake you. Bind them about your neck and write them upon the table of your heart. So shall you find favor and good understanding in the sight of Elohim and man. Was the understanding that they received, was that a good understanding? So the commandment is the only way that they was going to receive a good understanding, right? But the understanding that they received was of good and evil, right? Something that they had never experienced. They never crossed evil before. It's just like I have young children. It's just like if another adult was to be able to come up, and this happens all the time in the world, right? To say something to a child, you can easily lure a child because a child don't know nothing, right? Wicked people do it all the time. All the time. Lure a child because a child don't know nothing. And this is the state what they in. They listening to anything because they don't know nothing. Trust in Yahuwah with all your heart and lean not to your own what? To your own understanding. Hashatan wants you to lean on your own understanding, right? Learn by your experience, right? How about not make a mistake to begin with? Now, that's not to say that you're not going to do that. I ain't that foolish either. But I am saying that that's not, you don't want to set your life up to live like that, right? To make a mistake just to learn a lesson, not when you can look at the mistakes of others and learn a lesson. It's way easier that way. So it says, in all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes. We're going to see in a minute that she ate of the tree because she was trying to be what? Okay, all praises. Fear Yahuwah and depart from evil. Don't take the good with the bad, the good with the evil, right? Choose the good. Forsake the evil. It shall be health to your navel and marrow to your bones. So here comes the seed, right? Verse 4, it says, and the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die. Now, was that the truth? So you see how the opportunity for him to tell you a lie is opened up because he realized what? You don't know the truth. Because he asked her, well, what did he say? Now, he knows what he said. Was that what he said, what she said? So now he knows, now you don't really know what he said. So since I know you don't really know what he said, let me attack that angle. I'm going to take advantage of it. Right? So the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die, for Elohim does know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as Elohim, knowing good and evil. We're going to see that part right there actually is true. They eyes were opened up and they did know both good and evil, but it wasn't a good thing, right? He's presenting it like it was a good thing. So notice here that their eyes will be, or what their eyes will be opened up to. So they would know both good and evil, or both Tob and Ra'ah. So when you look at this in Hebrew, you see that the Elohim that he told them they would be as was not the Father, right? So do I remember a few weeks ago when I was talking about the word Elohim and how sometimes it's singular, sometimes it's plural? Go ahead, Aki.
There was an occasion last night where it actually came up in the word that we was reading, and at that particular point when we was reading in Psalms, and I asked, the people who was, and I was like, why is this used twice here? One person was like, well, it's the double, they're trying to double down on the name. And then we went just a little bit deeper, and I was like, because this is something I had not known until I had to go back and research what you said, and then I got that understanding. And then I introduced it to the ones who did not know that at times a leader, somebody who is in charge, is also referred to as Elohim. Mm-hmm.
I can almost take a guess on what you're talking about, too. You ain't talking about in Shemot, are you? In Exodus, reviling? Oh, no, you did just say Psalms. Okay. All praises. Go ahead, Ak.
So in verse 5, it's saying, for God doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So I'm looking at that Hebrew word for knowing is yadah, and it's saying acknowledge or acquaintance with. Mm-hmm. So if you're acquaintanced with good and evil, going back to what you were talking about as far as the seeds growing together, and I just thought about what Sister Kim said, being on that fence. If you on that fence, the fence belongs to Hasatan. So that's a bad thing right there, because now you're in the midst and mixed with good and evil. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to bring that out because right there is some confusion, because that's what Hasatan is doing, bringing confusion. Because he gave him a little bit of truth and a little bit of lie at the same time. The half truth is still a lie.
Mm-hmm. All day, every day.
And 1 second. And I also, because he told him you wouldn't go die, but obviously everybody has to die. So can you explain? I'm throwing you the oop, throwing you the alley oop. So can you explain what that die is? Like, did they die that particular day, or was it another day?
All praises. So, in one sense, you can look at the death as a spiritual death, as a ruachal death, right? Then there's another way that they can look at it and say they still died within that day, quote unquote. A day. Some will look at it and say a day is as 1,000 years to Elohim, and then you can go and look in the genealogies and you'll see it was a lot of 900s, but nobody ever crossed that 1,000 mark. Right. So that's one way of looking at it too.
All praise.
No, I was just going to say that it's either right or wrong. There's no lukewarm, like in between. I think that like what they tell you in the world is that you can, this part is I guess I can add that in there a little bit. I can do this because it feels right. This must be it. It's like no, I think we have to get used to understanding the way of Yahuwah, and it's either right or it's wrong. You either have two choices. It's right or it's wrong. It's not it could be wrong, or it's like it's wrong and right. It's either right or wrong. And I think that once we understand that, we'll be able to understand more of Yahuwah's character.
All praises. All praises. So, in this context, the term Elohim refers to other powers or mighty ones, but not the Most High. So they would have the authority to determine what was good or bad for themselves, thereby eliminating the need for the command of Elohim. Right? That's what the commandments do. They establish what is right and what is wrong for us. Right? Shaul said that if I had not received the command, I would not have known what coveting was. Right? So it's the command that literally is what distinguishes and tells us what is right and what is wrong. Because we also know that the way we're designed, there's a way that seems right to a man, but there we go. And then we see that playing out in this scenario, right? For them, it seemed like it was the right thing to do in that moment, and it led to what? All praises. So what they call good would be good for them even if it was considered evil by Elohim, right? And that's a problem. Because at the end of the day, he's a judge. So you don't have no power or say over what the judgment is going to be. So you might want to listen to the lawgiver. It's all his, right? So Psalm 119 and 17, again, what was their eyes opened up to, and then what should their eyes be opened up to? So here, Hashatan is telling them, your eyes are going to be opened up to both good and evil. But Psalm 119, this is what our eyes should be being opened up to. So it says, deal bountifully with your servant that I may do what? I might live. Again, everything with the Father is going to keep leading back to this life. And guard your word. Open my eyes that I might behold wondrous things out of your what? Out of your Torah. Out of your law. This is what our eyes should be being opened up to. Not both good and evil. The word is only good. Open your eyes up to that, right? He said, I'm a stranger in the earth, hide not your commandments from me. My soul breaks for the longing that it has unto your judgments at all times. You have rebuked the proud that are cursed, which do err from your commandments, right? So this is what our eyes should be being opened up to, what we should be desiring. We should be desiring that our eyes be opened up to the word of the Father. But there's always going to be an enemy that's going to whisper in your ear, nah, you don't got to worry about that. Just do as thou wilt, right? So verse 6, it says, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, so now what is she leaning on? She leaning on her own understanding, right? So when she saw that it was good for food, did the Most High say it was good for food? He did not. Okay, all praises. And that it was pleasant to the eyes and a tree to be desired to make one wise. What's our wisdom? Keeping these commands, right? That's our wisdom. She took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and also gave unto her husband with her, and he did eat. So we have gone over why Elohim gave the commandment, and that it was because he loved them. Surely it is possible for us to see this in hindsight, but why didn't Eve see this? So we'll find in the answer to this question the same reason that we struggle with obedience today. The answer is that we cannot see Yahuwah's heart until we understand what is in our own heart. So in other words, if we're blind to what's in our heart or our feelings, we will not be able to see what is in Yahuwah's heart. But if we realize what's in our heart or we see our feelings, we'll see that they are not like his and put away our thoughts. So remember John 3:30, right? But why did the serpent want to take the commandment away from them, right? Why would he want to do this? Proverbs 20:27. The spirit or the nefesh of man is the candle of Yahuwah, searching all the inward parts of the belly. So literally, he's looking at your spirit. Remember, we talked about this the last time I was up here. He's literally searching and just trying to see, well, what are you going to do with your free will? It's up to you. Which seed do you want? What kind of ground are you? But then he says in another place in Deuteronomy, he says what? I set before you this day life and death, blessing and cursing. But then he also tells us what? Therefore, choose life. So he's very clear on what his desire is for us, right? So could it be that the Father is seeing what is in you? How much do you desire his word and accept what he says as right or wrong? So notice how the serpent's goal was to cause them to become adversaries to the Father by appealing to their own understanding. In the same way, we are made enemies to Elohim by calling evil what he calls good and calling good what he calls evil. If you notice, it's usually a person's own experiences, whether good or bad, and or traumas that cause them to see things from their perspective. For instance, the Hebrew diet is set apart from others because we are instructed to stay away from things that otherwise would seem just fine to eat to us without his commandment. And hey, yo, like my grandmama used to say to me, from the rooter to the tutor, every part of the pig was good for food. Like, it's like a rite of passage. Y'all done heard me say it. Cooking chitlins, everything, like all of it. Feet, ears, all of it. All of it. It was no part that I did not eat. And in my mind and in my eyes, based off of my experiences and the way that I was brought up, this was considered a good thing. Well, I could not wait. Once I got my own place, I could not wait to go and start the stove up and to cook this stuff so that I could bring it back to my grandparents and letting them know, like, hey, yo, I'm continuing on in the tradition. Like, that's real talk. She'll tell you. Like, for real, for real. It was like, it meant something to me. Like, yeah, hey, yo, like, hey. From the rooter to the tutor, like, only to come to find out that no, nothing about this was good. And then I'm looking at these same people's health, and it's like, oh my goodness, that's the results of that. So, but I never would have came to that conclusion without the Father's word, right? Leaning on my own understanding, I never would have came to that conclusion. It ain't like it tastes bad. It ain't like it wasn't pleasing to the flesh. So you got to look at it with spiritual eyes in order to gain the understanding of it, right? All praises. So one's own experience and opinion can cause them to treat this command with contempt based on positive experiences with what Elohim has called unclean. The same can be said about what Elohim called good. We can call it evil or treat it with contentment based on a negative experience that we've had. How many times have we heard the Father's Torah, his laws, his commandments be evil spoken of? Right? The law is a curse. We done heard it. Right? He nailed that to the cross so that we don't have to do that no more. That's putting you under the bondage. And it's like, no, this is the most liberating thing that we got. But a person's experience with said laws might cause them to feel that way about it, right? Isaiah 5:20, woe to them that call evil good, right? And good evil. That puts darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe unto them that are wise in their what? In their own eyes, and prudent in their own sight. Woe unto them that are mighty to drink wine, and men of strength to mingle strong drink, which justify the wicked for reward, and take away the righteousness of the righteous from him. Therefore, as the fire devours the stubble, and the flame consumes the chaff, so their root shall be as rottenness. Now remember, we said that all seeds produce what? They all produce a fruit. They all trees. That sounds like something that got roots, right? Okay. All of the bad seed is going to be gathered up and thrown into the fire, right? All praises. He says, so their root shall be as rottenness, and their blossom shall go up as dust, because they have cast away the law of Yahuwah Savuot, and despised the word of the Holy One of Israel. And this is the one who created the whole heavens and the earth, right? So if anybody has to say so, it would be him. Proverbs 17:15, he that justifies the wicked and he that condemns the just, even they both are abomination to Yahuwah. So not only the wicked, but the one who justifies the wicked, both in the same boat, right? So notice here what can cause you to justify the wicked and condemn the just. Could it be that your own perspective can cause you to have a skewed judgment on a matter? So sometimes this is done intentionally, and sometimes this is done because of ignorance. So we are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, and we are deceived because of this. Ezekiel 9:4, it says, and Yahuwah said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others he said in my hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have you pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women. But come not near any man upon whom is the mark or the tab, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. All right, so notice that those that were in agreement with Elohim were marked, but those that were not in agreement with Elohim were judged according to what they were in agreement with, right? And again, remember that the enemy does what? He whispers. He don't get real close up to you, holler at you. Let me drop this on you. Let me enchant this on you. Let me tell you what this is really about. Right? And it's like, nah, the Father is clear on what he said. So y'all remember I told y'all to pay attention to that word when it said that they was naked, right? They was naked, they was bare, they was exposed, right? But they was unashamed because they didn't know it, right? Genesis 3:1, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. That word for subtle is the same word for naked. H6175, a room. A passive participle of 6191, cunning, usually in a bad sense, to be crafty, prudent, or subtle. H6191, Aram, properly to be or make bare. But used only in the derived sense through the idea perhaps of smoothness, to be cunning, usually in a bad sense. To beware, to take crafty counsel, to be prudent, to deal subtly. So what y'all think that this nakedness really is talking about? And this subtlety, there's a connection here. Could this crafty counsel make you be naked or laid bare, open you up before the Most High? Go ahead.
I think you started to read it earlier. This is Hebrews chapter 4. Let's go start at 12. It says, "For the word of Yah is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. Neither is there any creature that is not manifest in his sight, but all things are naked and open unto the eyes of him with whom we have to do." So basically he's saying he can see the intent of your heart. Mm-hmm. He knows you from the inside. Mm-hmm. And so it's not necessarily just being physically naked, but you're wide open to it. He knows you.
Mm-hmm. All praises. All praises. All praises. So, what's going on here? Remember all of the things that we learned up to this point. We learned that Yahuwah desires for us to be in unity with him, and that he wants us to be as he is. But this serpent speaks to the woman as if this is not his desire for us. We learned that Yahuwah desires for us to live, and that we obtain life through obedience, and death comes from disobedience. But this serpent says otherwise. If we notice, the serpent makes it seem as if death is not the end result of disobedience. We learned that Yahuwah gives us a commandment because he wants us to live. So why does this serpent approach the woman with lies? So what was the serpent's goal for approaching the woman in the first place? In answering these questions, you'll see that the serpent's goal was for the woman to disobey the commandment of Elohim. Here's the thing. The serpent knows why Elohim gives us his word, his commandments, and his law, and the promises of both obedience and disobedience. So knowing this, he wants you to disobey the Father before you realize it. His goal is simply to accuse. So 3 and 5, it says, "For Elohim knows that in the day that you eat thereof, your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as Elohim, knowing both good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her man with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together, and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of Yahuwah Elohim walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and the man and his woman hid themselves from the presence of Yahuwah Elohim amongst the trees of the garden. And Yahuwah Elohim called unto Adam and said unto him, Where are you? And he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was what? Because I was naked. So now he done received this counsel, and now something about that counsel that was subtle or made to make him bare, made to make him naked, now he realized it, right? And I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree whereof I commanded you that you should not eat? And the man said, The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And Yahuwah Elohim said unto the woman, What is this you have done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. All right, so notice how the serpent's subtlety, his arum, caused them to become naked or arum. This is how what was in him became a part of them. So notice he was subtle, and then now you're going to notice that from this point forward, you're going to start to see his ways start to come out, right? Like, not too long from now, we're going to start reading in the next chapter about how they're going to have a child, right? And no matter how much they tried to claim that this was a child of the Most High, some ways that was not like the Most High came out, right? So from this point forward, you're going to see, like, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to come forth that's not like the Father. Go ahead, Doc.
Now, I'm going to ask you this question. So, because of what they did, they broke the command of the Most High. And that child that you're speaking of, is that a result of breaking the command?
I would say, for me, I would say sowing and reaping, Like, from this point forward, you're going to bring forth what? Both good and evil. This is just the way that it's going to work from here on.
And what made me think of it was because we were talking about the good fruit, bad fruit, planting the seed. The seed was planted in them. They broke the command, and then we have a literal physical seed who's born and now is getting ready to bear either good fruit or bad fruit.
Remember when we went over that lesson, this was a couple months ago, when we talked about the two ways and how these two ways are present before all of mankind. Both good and evil is set before everybody. And you're gonna draw from both sides. Hopefully, you draw more from the good than you do from the bad. But that's just, it's a consequence of taking of this fruit.
I just want to add on, at that point where the Most High is talking to him, and it tells Adam that he's going to have to till the ground, but instead of the ground yielding its fruit, it's going to yield thorns and thistles. So whereas he's going to be trying to plant good seed, because of his iniquity, it's going to increase. It's going to give back that bad fruit, that bad,
Thorns and thistles. Like, some of it is going to be good, some of it is going to be bad. But I can guarantee you this: to get the good, it'll be about a sweat of your brow. It ain't about to come easy. It's on you.
Okay, I'm just looking at the that word justification is really, sitting with me. I just did the dictionary.com, but the action of showing something to be right or reasonable. So how many times have people read the word and said, man, the Father's unreasonable? Why would he, this commandment is, what kind of commandment is this? So again, if the serpent is able to put that doubt that really and truly what he's saying is unreasonable, can you really accomplish that? Like, or make you question why is he telling you to do that? If you're not thinking, no, this is for my good, then you can go in and he can creep in and literally, like, you know what, you're right. What is this? What kind of unreasonable commandment is this? Clearly it's to prevent me from doing something or keep me away from it, things like that. And then that justification of not justifying wickedness, like, we really have to question, like, man, how often do we do that? Like, maybe somebody that we know of, a family member or a friend, like, and you're justifying wrong because of the love you have for them or because some type of emotion, connection, or whatever you may feel the reason why. Oh, it's okay, because I know what you've been through. Or it's okay, because you really have to be careful with that justification, because we can do it often if we're not careful, and then plant that, and then again, that justification saying that, oh, it's unreasonable. But again, it's either right or it's wrong, and you have to stay firm and stick to that. No matter who it is, no matter what, you have to love Al Yahuwah above all. That's what it's about.
All praises. Like, there's a big difference between mercy and compassion and justification, right? And I think a lot of times those lines get blurred. Like, mercy is acknowledging, no, this is wrong, but I can overlook this wrong because of mercy. But justification is not acknowledging that it's even wrong. And sometimes to spare another person's feelings, we'll make an excuse for them instead of making a correction and saying, no, this is off. But do X, Y, Z, make it right, and it's cool. We're not gonna think about that no more. Versus, oh no, don't worry about it. You good? It's okay. And then next thing you know, no correction takes place, and now a person is justified in their wrongdoing. Right? Ask Steve.
Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
I appreciate y'all, man. I think as you reflect about the setting and the time in history that this is taking place, this is the beginning of time, y'all. And we're like, are we even talking about an actual serpent or reptile talking? Or are we talking about what Isaiah's talking about in chapter 6, the seraphim? And if we look at that, Strong's in there, it's a fiery serpent that he's looking at that has 6 wings.
Mm-hmm. So
go ahead. I didn't want to get too far ahead, but I kind of see, you know.
So, Khan, excellent point. That we was talking about this earlier. That's next week. I'm gonna probably dabble into that a little bit of what are these cherubim, what are these seraphim? Because even when you look at the quote unquote, like he said, the nakash, another word for nakash is a bronze, fiery ones. These, and then you look at what a seraphim is, and it's literally a winged serpent. So yeah, I mean, we'll dig into that a little bit.
And then also the terminology, the naked, meaning subtle as well, and then seed of the serpent, seed of the woman. Wait, what about the seed of man? So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there.
All praises. All praises. So, okay, we done with this slide. All right, so verse 14, it says, and Yahuwah Elohim said unto the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon your belly shall you go, and dust shall you eat all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. Like I said, that's weird. There's something there. It shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In sorrow you shall bring forth children, and your desire shall be to your man, and he shall rule over you. And unto Adam he said, because you have hearkened unto the voice of your woman, and have not eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for your sake. In sorrow you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to you, and you shall eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return into the ground, for out of it you were taken, for dust you are, and unto dust you shall return. Okay, so the serpent will now eat the dust all the days of his life. So what was the man made out of? So the man was made out of the dust of the earth, right? Okay, so the serpent will now eat the dust all the days of his life. Could it be that the serpent will forever have an appetite for the sons of Adam? Will he always have this desire to eat at the dust, if you will? Okay, all praises. 2 Peter 5:8 says that he does what? Crouching, looking whom he might devour. Okay, all praises. So there is now enmity between her seed and the seed of the serpent. The woman will bring forth children, seed and sorrow because of this. Her desire will be to her ish, or to her man, and he will rule over her. And the ground, the Adamah, is cursed because of the man, Ha-Adam. And it will no longer bring forth only good for him, but instead it will produce both good and evil. All right? So only by hard work will he get increase, will he be able to get good fruit. And then, after all is said and done, the man is going to return back to the dust. All right? Okay. We don't got too much farther left to go. All right, so all of these curses are set in place to try and prove mankind. Has anybody ever thought that maybe the curses are really like our last shot at redemption? Like, we always look at it like it's a bad thing, but maybe it's the best thing that we can get. Because hopefully it's they'll have the effect of provoking you to do what? To repent and turn back. If everything keeps going good for you, you might not have any desire to stop what you're doing and to turn back, right? But if some things start happening bad while you going on trying to do things your own way, just might provoke you to bethink yourself and say, all right, you know what? Something got to be wrong here. Go ahead, Doc.
In his image and likeness. So us being parents to our kids, you know, same concept. You do this, I'm telling you, you go get a whooping. Hopefully that whooping may straighten him up, turn him around. Oh, you want to be grown? Get out of my house.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you get out there and realize, I'm outside of this protection. I'm trying to come back home.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same concept. We're trying to get back home because we got kicked out, and so we're trying to work our way back into the house. It's under his protection. Same concept.
All praises, prodigal son 101, right? He said, "What? Hey, you want to bounce? You want to figure it out for yourself, huh? All right, go ahead, go out there. We're gonna see how the world treats you." The harshness of his reality in the world was like, "Hey, yo." The servants they eat better than this. I'm over here with the pigs. Let me humble myself and go back to my father's house. So something about dealing with the harshness of the reality of being outside of his hedge of protection should, if it be any light in you, if it be any good in you, it should make you bethink yourself and say, hey, yo, I need to go back to my father's house because this right here ain't it. All praises. So, like I said, all of these curses are set in place to try and prove mankind. In this testing, the wheat is separated from the tares. All of those that bring forth fruit of the seed, the quote-unquote word, of the serpent are considered tares and cast into the fire at the great harvest. All of those that bring forth fruit worthy of repentance from the seed of the word of Elohim are gathered up and harvested for the Father's pleasure. So notice that there will now be this battle between good and evil in mankind for the remaining generations because of the fruit that they ate from. There is still an opportunity for the man to be redeemed through his willingness to work the ground, the Adamah. If he puts in the work, he can still get good from it. All right, so notice how this is all representative of the man himself, right? He's letting them know, hey, you want good out of this? You're going to have to break up that fallow ground. You're going to have to break up your heart so that it can receive the seed of this word. But if you don't want to do that, again, it's only 4 types of ground, y'all. It's up to us to decide which one we are. Hosea 10 and 12. Sow to yourselves in righteousness, reap in mercy. Break up your fallow ground. For it is time to seek Yahuwah till he comes and rains righteousness upon you. You have plowed wickedness. You have reaped iniquity. You have eaten the fruit of lies because you trusted in your way in the multitude of your mighty men. So we've seen a pattern here all throughout the scriptures, right? You do things your way on your own understanding, and you're going to reap from that. Do things his way, you're going to reap from that. It's up to you to choose which one you want, the life or the death, the blessing or the cursing. I can tell you this much. I done, like I said, done learn from that school of your own experience. And every time that I stepped away from what he told me to do, I always reaped the fruit of that. Might not have been immediate, but it come back around just like any seed that you sow, right? It don't just sprout up right then like James and the giant beanstalk. Like, it take time. It get watered. You feed it a little bit more, then it grow and it bear, and then now you dealing with having to reap from that. That's what we said earlier. We was talking about it earlier. Said, hey, yo, I got a master's degree from that school. Like, And when they said hard, they was not lying. So all of these curses are things that Elohim put in place because his mercy and love for the man, he chastises whom he loves. This battle is why reproofs and corrections are the way to life. Those that understand the curses have the opportunity to put in the work and eat good of the ground. Every part of this is his mercy because he could have just ended it all in, right? But he still gave you an opportunity to reap some good if you do what? Put in the work. You want good? Okay, prove it. You want the life? Okay, prove it. Hey, I'm always talking about the can of worms, and here I am. I got the can opener. I'm about to open them. Okay. No, I'm gonna leave it alone. Let me stop. Okay, all praises, all praises, all praises, all praises, all praises. It's the Shabbat day. You shall bear no burdens. You shall kindle no fire. Okay. Ready, on deck. Look, she said, come on. Okay, look. If I really want to start a fight, I ask the men, right? Hey, yo, men, what do that mean? Right? Well, no. Okay. Right, look. I'm looking. You know he can't wait. Okay, look. So what is this saying? Like I said, something about these curses is really your doorway back to deliverance, okay? And this is with all of the curses of the Most High. His desire is that all should repent and be what? We all be saved, right? So even in his judgments and his corrections and his reproof, as harsh as they might seem, it's designed in a way that if you, this could be your key back into his good graces, into his kingdom, right? Now, I'm going to preface this by saying this is abused a lot, okay? So I'm going to preface it by saying that, but walk with me. All right, so the word for rule, because some get this misunderstood and they think that this is just talking about like ruling with an iron fist, right? Like, and it can sometimes get to the point to where the women are not, they can be glorified servants, right? It can happen. And in this walk in particular, it can happen, y'all. I'm just going to throw that out there, right? So I'm not by any stretch of the imagination saying that. All right, so we're going to see what it's about. H4910, mashal, all right? A primitive root to rule, to have or to make, to have dominion, to govern, to reign, to bear, to cause, to rule, to have power, okay? But even this has its role and function in our redemption. If we look at this word for what the man is supposed to do for the woman, it's a pattern of Elohim's relationship with the man. All right, so the purpose of this is to establish his unity and oneness, this akkad, in his house. Okay, so the order will serve as a boundary for both the man and the woman and will bring them to oneness with Elohim as long as they submit their will to the Father. Okay. We all love the Proverbs, right? Okay. So the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, the king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction. So what is a proverb for? To know wisdom and instruction. All right. And this is both man and woman, right? Okay. All praises. To perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity. Do y'all know the difference between equity and equality? I'm just throwing this out there. Has anybody ever really thought about the difference between the two words? Yes. No takers. Okay, all praises.
I think equity shows the value of something, and equality shows the, how do I say this? The fairness, or something like whatever another word for that is.
Okay, yeah, all praises. We couldn't go with high grease. So equity, two things can be different when we're talking about equity, right? Two things can be different but equally valuable, right? Equality is both things are the same, right? So now let me ask, because we hear this stuff all the time. I'm just throwing this out there again, not trying to kindle no fire. Is there equality between a man and a woman, or is there equity between a man and a woman? Okay, all praises. Man and woman is not the same. They function completely different ways. They have different purposes. They both bring different things to the table, but they are equally as important. They both have the same amount of equity, right? In serving the Most High. The man was by himself, and the Most High looked at the man and determined, it ain't good that he should be alone. Let me make something for him, because I already see what's going on. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, right? Now maybe it's something in him that is off. Let me make a help suitable for him that can help him stay in the right lane where he's supposed to be, right? So equity and equality, not the same thing. A lot of times that gets misunderstood and it causes problems, right? Because we think everybody's supposed to do the same thing. And it's like, no, everybody's not supposed to do the same thing, but everybody is supposed to do what the best that they can do. And as long as we all doing that, then we all got equity, right? So, all praises. Shalom online.
Question from Zakane Alfred. He was like, is equity the amount you are due and not necessarily equal?
All praises. I rock with that.
All praises.
Yeah, all praises.
So going back to the word rule, right? So it's interesting that, okay, so they already exist in paradise, both of them, but it wasn't until after they both ate from the tree that this curse of him ruling. So that would ask the question. So they would have been equally, as far as, she must have heard the same thing. Like why didn't Adam stop? You know what I mean? So like that's an interesting concept, because so this curse don't take place until rule. Like rule. It doesn't happen until after the fact.
All praises. So we're gonna dig into that next week as well, because when we get to, I don't want to give too much of it, but we're gonna see that this particular part of it is gonna come back. All right, it's gonna come back when we're dealing with Cain. All right, and I'm gonna point out something, and we'll go from there. But yeah, all praises, keen eye, because yeah, we're gonna come back to that. All praises. All right, so it says to receive instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase in learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. To understand a proverb, that's that word proverb again, and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. All right, so why am I bringing this up? The word for proverb is the same word used for what the man shall do to the woman, mashal. All right, so the word for Proverbs, the book of Proverbs, is mishli, right? Same root word, mashal, right? This is how the man becomes a guard and covering for the woman as her head. There is a trade-off. The man must be governed by the word of Elohim in order for him to govern the woman. When Elohim rules over the man, he is equipped to rule the woman. And all of this comes together to bring oneness in the house of Elohim. So to rule, you must first do what? You must first serve. Matthew 20:25. But Yahushua called them unto him and said, you know that the princes of the other nations exercise dominion over them. Now, what was the man and woman both created to have? Dominion, okay? So now there's a worldly way that dominion takes place, and then there's the dominion of the Father. Two completely different ways, right? So he says, You know that the princes of the other nations exercise dominion over them, and that they that are great exercise authority upon them. So, in other words, survival of the fittest. The strong are the ones who rule, right? But it shall not be so among you. But whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister. And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Even as the son of Adam came not to be ministered unto, but to minister and to give his life as a ransom for many. All right, so keeping this in mind, it shows us the kind of dominion the man is to have over the woman. First, himself being governed by Elohim so that he can serve his house through his leadership. All right, so wasn't so bad, right? All praises. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that there's a benefit for the women to have that type of leadership and rule. Just speaking what Steve was saying, when it was given, yeah, there's a benefit for it. And clearly, if you were left up to our own opinions and feelings, well, you see what happened where it got us. So I think that there's a reason why, just set up the order of things, how Abihu had it from the beginning, but such a benefit to that. When everyone's operating accordingly, correctly, there's benefit. So I think women, speaking as a woman, we should definitely desire for our man to be in that wonderful leadership role according to Abihu and righteousness, because there is protection. There's so many things. I don't know if you're going to get into that of the man and the woman, but there's so much to it. Benefit for the male and benefit for the female. Everyone operating accordingly. I say embrace it, because it's a beautiful thing when it's done correctly.
All praises. All praises.
And that's kind of where I was getting to. There's a lot of brothers out there don't want to rule. I'm going to let her do her. Let's do 50-50 kind of deal. Like, but then you can't put your foot down whenever it's already too late. You know, you've already created that mindset of rebellion within your own household, within your own society, in the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. And then we have to raise the next generation of children that don't know how to rule. So,
all praises.
This black sweater on. Now, so I was going to read this definition of equity: providing individuals with the resources they specifically need to be successful and have an equal outcome. Mm-hmm. So the first thing that popped in my mind, like a father being out in the world hustling and bustling and doing everything he has to do to bring home the bread. Mm-hmm. The wife is at home, she's taking care of the kids and cooking meals and preparing things for him, so when he comes home and it all works hand in hand. They're both working hard.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And this is what I was seeing with Adam and Eve. He got his own set of curses. She's got her own set of curses. Mm-hmm. But they're both doing hard jobs, and it worked hand in hand and mm-hmm. to be successful, to be one successful household.
Mm-hmm. All praises. I'm going to go Sister Kim and then Sister Allison.
It just makes me think of something that I've seen on, some of us may have seen it on social media. There's a saying, well, not a saying, but something I saw not too long ago that says, a man typically wants a traditional wife, but they don't want to be a traditional husband. So that kind of goes with laying back and off of Cody Nadabi over here about, staying in your lane. If each spouse stayed in their lane according to the scriptures, then it's like, where's the problem? If the husband is loving his wife like Christ loves the church, and the woman is being submissive to her husband, then, according to the scripture, that's staying in each other's lane. And it should be perfect harmony. But I guess people say in a perfect world, but obviously it can be done because the word said it. It's just a lot of times we like to be stubborn and rebellious, as Oxty mentioned. People want to have their pride, and nobody wants to bend, and nobody wants to, be the bigger person. And so things go south. And that's why a lot of times in marriages, I've heard the statistic, there's more separations or divorces in the Christian arena than it is in the world, or just about the same. That's because people want to still be selfish inside of their marriages, and that's not the way of the Most High.
All praises. And like I said, we're gonna dig a little bit more into this next week, because like I said, we'll see once they start having children how it comes out. Go ahead, sis.
I was going to kind of say the same thing, but it's kind of twisted as far as as women now, because women have I'm going to say been so much on their own, and then it's kind of hard for women to bend back when they've done so much. And you got some men that he mentioned the 50-50, but then sometimes it's the 90-10, where the woman takes over and has to do everything, and then when it's time for her to flip into her role when somebody else comes, it's hard for them to flip back into that, the reversal. Mm-hmm. And then then you have kind of headstrong women that want to do the 90 and want the man to do the 10, and then then the man kind of feels overpowered. So it's a lot of situations in that, but I do feel that the man needs to be governed by the Most High to rule over his household. Period.
Absolutely. Period. As I can.
No, 2 weeks ago.
I heard.
2 weeks ago when we were leaving, my daughter brought something to my attention. She was like, "Dad," she said, "why is it that all the husbands are driving their wives home?" She said, when I see the men and women getting hurt, it's always the man driving. She's like, "Why is that?" And I looked at it and I was like, well, I said, you got to think of it about like this. A woman trusts a man to lead and guide and direct her and right the same way that she expects him to be able to protect her out here on this road. We have roles though both people can drive, it's natural for a man who is a natural protector to want to be able to drive so that he can protect his family, keep his eyes out for the dangers and things of that nature. And the way I explained it to it was more or less that, a man, pretty much it's just a man being a man. He's being a leader. He's guiding. He's directing. He's watching out. He's doing all these things. I said, even all these things in driving is what we're doing. I said, this is the part of being responsible on the road. And then she was like, "Oh, okay." I was just want to know why every time I see them, it's always the man driving the woman.
Hey, listen, like I said, don't start none, won't be none. But nah, hey, but what he said is, to speak from my perspective, that is kind of why. Like, if anything goes south, it's gonna be on me. It ain't gonna be on, like, I just left you out there to have to figure it out, and then I'm coming to you like, man, why you like, no, I'm gonna take accountability for me. So, like, I take my duties and my responsibilities. Yeah, it's a serious thing. So that's just really what it is. But sis Allison. Oh, Steve, my
No, you
bad.
good. No, and then to a lot of the, I guess to the brothers that in the community today with all the camp stuff, you know, and then got into a discussion with a brother, man, and he's like, I'm gonna go put work in, but I was like, I found out what putting work in for the Most High was. He was out screaming on the corners, and yet has like 3 work days. Doesn't, you know, he's like, hey, how many rest days do you have? You know, so like you have. He
What?
says, thou shalt work 6 days. You're not putting your full effort. Just always
Yeah.
complaining and borrowing money, and it's just the truth. You know what I mean? So it's not. We see that a lot today. It's like, hey, can you donate or can you do this? Like hitting me up on a messenger or something like that. But yet, I told you, like, all you gotta do is fill out a resume. This is the steps you need to do. Go get another job, whatever the case. But then I'm being called judgmental. You know, I'm trying to teach you how to catch your own fish.
Straight up. You gonna have me pushing back on them?
I'm gonna bounce off something he said, but I'm gonna go back to what Ebony said about the oppression, where the government put the women first to put the man under to get the man out of the house in the first place. But one of the other things, something that I haven't seen, he mentioned about the man driving the women. What happened to the men that walk on the outside of the street?
Hey, it's
I
another one of them
have
things. Another one of them things.
not seen a man walk on the outside of the street in years. I mean, you look down the street and the woman is walking on the curb, and I'm like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I mean, Yakanan walks on the outside, but I have not seen men. Like it's like a whole role reversal, you know, and you see the women walking. No, I don't care what color they are. The men are on the inside of the street.
Allison, you know you got to be old enough to even understand what you're talking about.
I am kicking.
I'm
60.
just saying. No, listen. I'm right there with you. I am right there with you.
I am kicking 60, but the other thing that I got on that, and then I forgot what I was getting ready to say on the other part. But gosh, what was it? Because I had to.
My apologies, sis.
No. It was something else that I was thinking about as far as the role reversal. I'll think of it. Somebody might have something else to say. Oh, I really feel men are. I think some men are too dependent, you know, on women. But I have one of my issues I've done. I'm used to being a caregiver. So Yakanan fusses at me. He says I've been accused of that before. My last relationship after my marriage, he felt like I was dumbing him down. I'd done so much that I had dummied him down to where he forgot how to do stuff. And I know, but sometimes I think sometimes it's too much. It's like a force of habit, and then my 10-year ex, he was like I don't even know how to do my laundry anymore. I'm like, well, how do you forget how to do laundry? You know, because I was doing that. It was something else. I never forgot what it was, but I never forgot.
All praises. Like I said, with that, we're gonna come back. We're gonna circle back around to this because it's something in this, and next week that we're gonna circle back around to that very point that you just made.
Yeah, too much is good. I like that. It says, why I gotta get hit by the car? Well, we on the outside. But then what happened when a dog get loose?
There go that can of worms that I be talking about. See that?
Yo. But nah,
that?
I mean, just going back to what we were talking about as far as like the garden, and now you can kind of see how everything has been thrown out of whack, been thrown off in the Most High commandments and the standard He has set. You know, the Most High and Christ and the husband and the wife and the kids, and it's been thrown out of order. And now we have all of this. You hear it in the conversations because we see it on the every single day in everybody's lives. You know, so
All praises. And then to that point that Sis Allison made, like it seems like it's not a serious thing, but when you really think about it and you think about the impact of that and what it has, right? Like, so for me, I was raised just like you said, like, no, the man's supposed to be on the outside edge of the street. Have y'all ever seen a woman walking with babies and the babies are on the outside edge of the street? And it's like, so like, but imagine if she had a man that she gonna be in that same role for the children, protecting the children when he's not around. You see what I'm saying? But without that even being a part of the house, you see how like it's a trickle down effect. Yeah. I'm right there with you. Yeah, like it happens all the time. Like we'll be driving down the road and I'll be like, why would that don't make no good sense? Like, yeah, for sure. It's a hand, it's dark in here, y'all. So okay, Sister Karen.
Speaking hello. Speaking of strategic, adding to what I said before, also part of that order, like I had gave the example of Christ, the husband loving the wife as Christ loved the church. He didn't, I don't think people think of it like this, because that when you stay in your lane and the husband's loving the wife, he didn't make that commandment for the wife to love the husband. He made the commandment for the wife to submit. He did not require the wife to love her husband. He required the husband to love the wife. So which is great. You want to love. We love everybody, but speaking on relationship, the marriages, it's a bonus if your wife loves you.
That's a hard saying right there, sis.
I'm sorry. It's a bonus.
I'm just telling you. I gotta tell you on that one. That's a hard sell.
I know it's hard to hear, except for a man, but the way a lot of marriages come together, mostly in sin. You start off fornication and all that, but that's how they develop those emotions and feelings over time, and so the love is already there when you get married most of the time. But if you do it the way the Most High says it, going into a marriage, you ain't going in it for, you got to be in love. I got to love this person. And now the husband,
I agree with that.
He's supposed to, but the wife, that's not her commandment. Her commandment is to submit. Now, over time, you hang in there doing it the way the Most High says, eventually that love's going to develop, because the Most High going to make sure it does, because she's staying in her lane, doing what she's supposed to do and commanded. He's staying in his lane. People say all the time, women, you hear, I'm getting married, forget love, I'm getting married for finances next time and all this. But stability. But like I said, if the husband doing what he's supposed to do, she ain't going to even have to worry about that. And he don't even have to worry about her being in love with him, because most of the time, men want honor, respect, the love part, like I said, over time, the in love part. I'm not, you love people in general, but the in love, deep, whatever it is, not the agape, but eros love, because there's different stages of love, people. I think most people here knows that. But yeah, I just want to make that point. And that's why a lot of divorces, I believe, are, happen, because that's been together 20, 30, 40 years, and then all of a sudden they in the courthouse to separate, depart, because somebody felt like they don't love that person no more. That's not the word.
Yeah, well, I think you see that on both sides. What I'll say is this: I think that the real issue lies in what our standards for coming together are. And from a Western perspective, it is not based on the same thing as Hebraic principle and Hebraic values, Hebraic marriage custom. So I will say that. Now, to say that the women ain't got to love the man, I don't know if I'm going to go that far. But what I will say is that love, I think that love is misunderstood in this quote-unquote Western society. Like, there's a big difference between love and affection. Affection might be a display, a type of a display of love, but it is not love in itself. And a lot of times it's misunderstood. Affection is misunderstood as love. And we get that confused. And so then we build relationships based off of affection, and then, but not realizing that love displays itself sometimes in some of the harshest, some of the hardest moments in a relationship, right? One of the ways the Most High shows us love is through what? Correction, discipline, reproof, right? If I love you, then I'm not going to let you do wrong. I'm going to correct you. I'm going to pull you to the side, and I'm going to correct you, right? And we know all chastisement and all correction is bad in that moment, but it's for your good in the long run, right? So, like, I think that a lot of times what it is it's not even so much of a love thing. I just don't think that we really even understand what love is a lot of times. Like, so yeah. Ox Steve. And then after that, I'm gonna try to get through these last couple slides.
Right. Now just going back to the brothers, and I know it kind of came out harsh about that, but there's so many doctrines that we got to fight nowadays, even within Israel. I had a discussion with one of the Ox, and he's like, I ain't making enough. I got to go put in this work. And then all I'm doing is talking about Esau all day. But then in that, like, he done left that, but also I was going to say is the doctrine of what is captivity and what is work. Oh, you can be in captivity over 50 hours a week. That's not work. But what about when we did leave Egypt and still had to put in work the 6 days to build Israel, right? In the land of honey, milk and honey. Mm-hmm. So you got to take it in the context what the curse of Adam, having to work until the soil by the sweat of thy brow, and what captivity is.
There we go. All praises is a big difference. I'm going to leave that alone. All praises. But it's a big difference. It's a big difference. Okay, so we just basically went over that. I'm a breeze through it. Ephesians 5:22. Women, submit yourselves to your own men as unto Yahuwah. For the man is the head of the woman, even as Mashiach is the head of the called out assembly, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, as the called out assembly is subject unto Mashiach, so let the woman be to their own men in everything. Men, love your women, even as Mashiach also loved the called out assembly and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, that he might present it to himself a glorious called out assembly, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. So ought men to love their women as their own bodies. He that loves his woman loves himself. All right, so with that being said, that's today. We're going to pick up where we leaving off next week. Like I said, there's some things in that, even in those curses, that we got to come back to, because I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But once they start having children, and we're going to start to see that it's some things that's starting to take place that the children now are inheriting from their parents, that is directly stemming to what they just did with this tree. So yeah, we're gonna go from there next week. Sis. All praises.
It has something to do with the multi-marriages.
Oh my yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, the people with the men with the other woman with the other women. Okay, so I don't believe in it, and I know a lot of Hebrews do believe in it, but anyway.
Oh my God.
And you'll be in your house by yourself, but I don't understand. Okay, when the women are taking care of the man, and
Yeah, now that what I will say that's I will definitely say that's foolishness. But
because I have not so
getting
far-
with the women for the sake of the women to take care of the man, that's
Yeah.
pimping. Where I come from, that's pimping.
So that was one of the things, because I'm like, how is the man supposed to rule all over? Or are they supposed to all be in the same house? I don't believe in it. Like I said, he shall be in his house by himself.
That is so. What I will do is I'm going to kindly set that. I'm gonna table that because it deserves its own lesson, attention, and time in itself. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that where that's at. But what I will say to that is, I think we can all agree though that it is not supposed to be a glorified version of pimping. So that's what it's not supposed to be. Everything else beyond that, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut, and that's way in the future. Or not, you know what? It ain't that much way in the future, because we're gonna have to deal with it when we start dealing with Jacob, and so we're gonna have to deal with it. And but that's a lot of chapters from now. So I'm gonna stay in chapter 3 for now, and. You know what? You're right. I am gonna have to. That is in the near future. You're right. You're right. Yeah, we'll deal with it. We'll deal with it and shed some light on it. Yeah. Oh my. Yeah. I might have to fast for that one, y'all. I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna meditate. May have to reject the plate. Put on the spiritual armor. Whew. Yeah, that one right there is, yeah. But all praises. I'm gonna take the win when I can get it. Today's the 25th. I ain't gonna worry about that until whatever Shabbat that date is gonna be. So yeah. With that being said, I'm told that I know of, I don't think that there are any announcements I don't think we have any announcements. Same thing as always. We got the new Cash App. It's House of Refuge Day. So yeah, or look for Ayanna Holloman. Yeah, 2 Ayanna Hollomans. So make sure that you link the House of Refuge Day with. Yeah, gotcha. All praises. Make it easier. Yeah, no need to complicate it if we ain't. Yeah, make sure it says House of Refuge Day. All praises. All praises. Yeah, definitely. Praying for you, Ak. I'm sure you probably out there listening. Safe travels back. Let Pops know, we send our love. We said shalom. Man, it's good to see Ox Steve. I'm not even. Okay, hold on. Wait a minute. Point me in the right direction. It start with a J. Say it one more time. Good to meet Ock Gerard. Yeah, everybody in the house. Sister Christy. Shalom. You know a lot of people in here, but this is my first time meeting you. I want to thank y'all for coming through. And yeah, everybody, we gotta, yeah. Hey, you ain't no stranger now. Don't stay away too long. It's good to see you, sis. Yeah. Send moms and pops our love. Fam is fam. Yeah, that's it. I don't usually do this part, so we good to go? All right, I'll pray. And y'all, man, we beat the sun. We started late and we beat the sun. All praises. Say that one more time. Yeah, I was worried. I was worried. Like, man, I don't want to drag it out too long. So this was long enough. I'm like, man, if I gonna. So yeah, we just pick up where we left off next week. Yeah, all praises. Hearts and minds clear. Baruch atah Yahuwah Eloheinu melech haolam. Todah rabbah ab Yahuwah. We give you all thanks, honor, esteem, praise. We magnify your name on this day, bringing us all together, allowing us to just draw nearer to you through your word, learning your word. Thank you, Father, for opening our eyes to your righteousness, your word, not good and evil, but to the good. We pray, Father, that as we continue throughout this week, you'll continue to cover us, continue to place your hedge of protection around us, watch us, provide all of the things that are needful to us, and you know what those needs are. Pray that you will continue to strengthen us and just renew our strength in our times of weakness. It's a long way from Shabbat to Shabbat. So we just give you thanks for all that you do, all the things that you don't do, all of the things that you're going to do in the future. In the name of Mashiach, Yahusha, we say, Hallel to you, Yahuwah. Let it be so. Amen.